Hey, welcome back to the Big Red Zone. We are very excited for today's show. We have a very special guest, Curry College and Brockton Rock's legend and current Independent League baseball pitcher, and Hanover's finest, David Griffin, is here. We will talk to him all about his baseball journey, the current state of the game, and debate if Barry Bonds and Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. All that and more on this week's episode of the Big Red Zone. Welcome to the podcast. It's Big Red Zone. I'm your host, Big Red. As always, I am joined by James.
Hey.
Producer John. And today we have a very special guest. Dave Griffin is here. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Steele. Thanks for having me.
This is, you're the first guest in the new setup for the studio. Before we were all over there in that cramped corner.
The cave.
The cave. And now you're the first guest in the new studio. Welcome.
It looks really nice. It came a long way from what I've seen.
Yeah, it's we're working on it. We still got a couple things to do, but it looks much better. Dave, as you heard, is an independent league baseball pitcher. He met him at the Brockton Rocks. He played for Curry. He's from Hanover, so welcome. And we're gonna start. Tell us about, starting off. You went to Curry College.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about that journey, where your journey began.
All right, yeah. So it definitely is a unique journey. I actually committed to Curry to play baseball in college before I even played a varsity inning, because my junior year I was playing pickup basketball at like a local YMCA, and I went up for a rebound and landed on my ankle, just like kind of Gordon Hayward did, and my ankle, like my foot went one way, ankle went the other, so I missed my whole junior season. And at that point, I just wanted to get back to baseball as soon as possible, and the only thing I could really do is pitch. So that's kind of how I learned to become a pitcher anyways. And then in the fall of my senior year, the fall of 2013, I tried out for like this like showcase, like recruiting league, stuff like that. And I tried out as originally like an outfielder and a shortstop, because that's what I was growing up and everything like that. And towards the end of the tryout, they're like, all right, does anyone else pitch? And I was like, well, I threw during the summer, so might as well. If anything's going to get me to play baseball at this point, like, do it.
Right.
So I threw a bullpen, and I'm like, oh, like, maybe I hit like 75, or like, I wasn't expecting to hit 80 miles an hour because I had never done it. Then all of a sudden at the end, they're like, yeah, you're 81, 82. And I was like, oh, wow, like 17 years old, like, haven't really thrown that much. Like, I'll take it.
Right.
And then I made the team as a pitcher, which at that point I reached out to the coach. I was like, hey, like, I think this is a mistake. And he was like, no, like, get some lessons and like you'll see. And like literally like that off season I did lessons, and I got it up to like 86, 87 in just 3 months, and just that kind of how it rolled, and just things went forward. And then I actually found out about Curry because my dad was an alumni at Curry. So
gotcha.
my mom wanted me to check out the school originally. I said no because I always heard bad things at the time, stuff like that. And my high school coach was also coached by the Curry coach in Legion growing up. So that's another connection where he was like, oh, just doing an official visit, like whatever. And that's what I toured the campus, and I actually really liked it. And at that point, I was like, can you come watch me throw in person? He was like, well, if you want to work out with our AAU team, I can do that, and you can throw a bullpen. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. So the next day I went there, and I mean, I'm probably on 2 days rest, 3 days rest, not even 2 days rest. And I was working with the pitching coach, Paul Borlotti there, who's now the head coach. And he's giving me some cues as I'm throwing this bullpen, and everything's just starting to click. Like, next thing you know, I'm getting like 84, 85, just hitting my spots. And they were like, all right, like, any of the schools talking to you? I was like, maybe UMass Boston, that's it. And they were like, really? I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, if you choose to come here, this is a roster spot for you. And that's kind of was just like that. And then, like, I had my heart set on going there, like, in, like, December. And then once February rolled around, I committed. Obviously, a lot of doubts, and people were like, oh, like, you haven't even committed to, like, you haven't even played a varsity inning yet. Like, how is that possible? And there was a lot of doubts. And at that point, that kind of just fueled me to kind of keep going, just prove people wrong.
Right.
So probably since then, I've always had that chip on my shoulder. And
D1 or D2?
D3.
D3, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Curry's a D3 school. And at that point, going to the summer before Curry, I met one of my best friends who I ended up rooming with all 4 years, Matt Haley, and he was like, hey, like, what are you doing for the summer? I was like, oh, I'm probably going to play Legion. And, like, that's your normal high school baseball, stuff like that. And he was like, oh, like, come play AAU on my team. We're looking for a pitcher. I'm like, oh, like, cool. Like, what team is it? He goes, oh, SouthShore Spartans. It's based out of Curry, and the Curry coaching staff runs it. And I'm like, interesting now. So, like, this could be a good start for me. So I hopped on there, and I started working with the pitching coach from Curry, because he was the head coach there, Borlotti. And he kind of groomed me that summer going into Curry. So I was already in a good position to begin with, and Curry also had like a 9-24 record like the year before I came in. So they were at that point nobody's spot was safe. So I knew coming in as a freshman I could compete, and that's all I really wanted. And then from there, and we ended up just running with it. We won the conference, and I was like the winning pitcher, got all conference, and just
wow.
I literally went from being like a mediocre high school pitcher to 7-1 that freshman year with a 1.59. That kind of what got me on the map for Brockton and stuff like that. And it kind of just took off from there.
Now, did that ankle injury affect your pitching? Because that's a nasty injury, and just to come back the next year and be like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of physical therapy. I mean, I had a lot of nerve damage too on top of that. So I was literally missing practices in high school to go rehab my ankle, and then and kind of just learn to balance and everything like that. Like I wasn't gonna play basketball my senior year, but then I decided at the last minute I was like, you know what? Like I think it'd be great conditioning. Like I knew I was gonna be a bench guy, but I might as well get myself running conditioning wise back in baseball as well. And at the same time, basketball is a fast pace. Like we had a newer coach, so you can tell he's a mentally tougher guy. So I kind of knew I needed that mental toughness, especially going to the next level. And honestly, I miss playing basketball more than anything.
Your basketball coach was our former PE teacher.
Oh, Hannigan?
Yeah.
Oh,
Great
really?
guy.
Great guy.
I don't know if you say his name.
Shout out, Mr. I don't know.
I don't care.
What's his address?
Mr. Nick Hannigan.
Oh, hey.
Hannigan,
Small world.
Yeah, that was his.
That's great.
That was his first year, right? Your
cool.
Second year, something like that.
Second year, yeah. Because I remember he left teaching at our school our senior year, and he went to where he was coaching.
Yeah, so he's still there now. I mean, he's still got a good alumni that always support him. I mean, we got alumni games we all look forward to, and I mean,
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's won a state championship, and it's perfect.
Yeah, 2 years ago, right? They went to the Garden and they won the state championship.
Yeah, I mean, that senior class won the football state title, basketball state title, and they almost got there in lacrosse too. It was
wow,
that grade was very good.
Do you remember watching him in the little pickup games, the student faculty games, and everyone would be like, Mr. Hannigan, dunk, and he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't give us a satisfaction.
The white guy finger rolled the rim.
Yeah, he would get so close and then just finger roll it.
Almost.
My senior year during our student faculty game, he came back because they wanted him to come back and play. And
it's a huge get.
Yeah, that's
a huge return.
That's a huge pickup for them, and that coming in the student faculty game. And he was just huge. He was bigger than everyone.
Student faculty games are what's the best thing. I remember even in college we did one. It was student athletes versus the faculty as well. And I don't know if you saw this film, but me and another kid, we made Sports Center top 10 play from that.
Was it the alley-oop?
Yeah, so there was a fast break, and the kid behind me is like a professional dunker almost. So he literally passed me the ball in the fast break, and the way he passed it, he started to run past the ball as he passed it. So I'm like, okay, I know he's gonna be behind me. So I get there and I jump in the air, put the ball between my legs, throw it off the backboard, and he catches it, and there's a guy underneath him, and he just bodies it, just catches it over, dunks on the professor, everything. And everyone was freaking out, which was crazy.
You made top 10 off that? That's so sick. You made number one? That's fire. I was going to say.
Barstool, World Star, everything. And I walk into the locker room the next day because we had a baseball game. And literally, as I'm walking in the locker room, it's on TV. And I hear Jalen Rose go, "Oh my God, what a pass." I'm like, yeah, that's right.
That's awesome.
That's sick.
That is pretty cool. Now, when you went, so after your freshman year, you had a very good freshman year. Mm-hmm. You went and played for another, not the Rocks, you played for another team.
Yeah, the Wachusett Dirt Dogs.
Dirt Dogs, which was, I know the place was not the greatest.
Yeah.
But I think you had how was the summer playing-wise for you?
Playing-wise, it definitely had its ups and downs. It was my first real exposure playing against top talent, everything like that. Yeah. And it went from being okay, it was my first real taste of adversity where after that freshman year in college, I kind of felt I know I can compete here and everything like that, but I didn't get a spot at Wachusett until probably a couple days before the season even started.
Oh, really?
So I actually went to the league-wide tryout, the Futures League, and Chris Hall, who I still stay in touch with today, a good family friend of mine, grew up with Chris in high school. So when I went to the Futures League tryout, he put in a good word for me. So I actually saw Chris right away, introduced myself, and Chris kind of had my back. You can kind of tell I was a little nervous when I was there. And I was throwing 85, 86 when no one was in the thing. But once a batter stepped in the box, the the kids behind me were making errors, and like they could tell I was a little nervous. So he actually stopped the thing, was like, hey, like step off for a sec, like batter, get out of the way, like Dave, just throw some pitches. And I did. He goes, Dave, you're 10 miles, or it was like you're 4 or 5 miles an hour harder. Like just relax, just hit your spots and just go. Yeah. And then I was actually one of 3 kids from that league try out to get signed, and all of us went to Wachusett. Even though I was out of those 3, I was the only non-all-star, but I still finished top 10 in the league in strikeouts and everything, or number 12 or whatever. And actually, one of those guys, he owns a gym now that I work out at, and that's kind of because of him. I got back into baseball and trying to chase the dream again.
Mm-hmm. And after that summer, you eventually went to the Rocks.
Yeah,
which is where we met.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, we were kind of talking before, like reminiscing about it. Those were some of the best teams, like some of the best summers and best teams I think I've seen in Brockton for those couple years. Especially, I think it was your second year.
Yeah, that second year, that was just something special. Like we're all still disappointed we didn't win the championship and anything like that, because, I mean, we were clearly number 1 team. We had 15 All-Stars. We had more All-Stars to the point where we had to put guys on the other team for the All-Star game.
Yeah,
and
I remember that. There was like, was it Ricky went on the other team?
Wait, what happened?
Barry.
Your team was so good.
You had so many All-Stars
that
they had.
All-Stars.
So they had to put
28 kids or whatever. 15 of us were All-Stars.
So they had to put some on the other team. So like they did the East and West League.
You already won.
East, yeah.
That nigga.
That was the joke. Like Rocks are gonna win either way.
Like, the thing was, too, like that team that we played was so talented. I remember one outing, we're up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And it's like a 1-run lead going in the 6th inning, and I'm just joking around. Like I get out there and I'm like, "Hey guys, like let's go. Give me something to work with. Like give me a lead, and then we got this." Literally to start the inning, 3 straight home runs. The next batter grounded out, and then the 4th batter hit a home run.
Jeez.
Or the next batter after that. So they like after the end of the inning, the 4th guy or the 4th person that hit a home run comes in the dugout, was like, "Is that good enough for you, Griff?" So yeah, we ended up winning that game. But just like being able to, like that wasn't the only time where like we had a day game one time, and shout out to Kyle Ruth. He comes in the dugout. I was like, "All right, boys, we're gonna put up a 10 spot here or what?" And we put up a 10 spot that half inning. Like we could just predict when we're gonna go off. It was unbelievable.
From top to bottom, that team was like flawless.
The best part too was there was no egos. Like everyone got there early. Like you saw, it's like we'd be playing cards like. BP at 4 o'clock. We'd be there at 1:30, 2 o'clock, eating lunch, playing cards together, like getting any pre-work beforehand. It was just like everyone loved being around each other, and that's what made it so good. Like even though it was like competitive, like but we also want to see what's best for everyone as well, because there was a lot of older guys like myself, but then there was also younger guys from some D1 schools like willing to learn, which was huge.
I think that was the big thing that what you just said. 2 things. One, there was a more, I guess, a veteran kind, like senior kind of guys on that team, which you can see makes a difference when in the years that because I saw a lot of college baseball teams for the Rocks, and the difference in like the really good ones and the okay and good ones was that senior leadership type, like you and Ricky and like those guys that even Ruthie Silva, like those guys that have been there before and like, all right, we're gonna try to, we're gonna have fun, but we also are here to do a job, and that was huge. That's huge for the success, and it also brings it together. Like you said, everyone was playing cards, everyone was there for each other. I spent so much time in that locker room. I could see like there was not one person that felt like left out. Everyone was in the conversation and having fun and going out and stuff like that.
That summer too, I had a chance to go to the Cape Cod League. There's been talks even before the season started that halfway through I was going to go to Katuitt. But it was a nice connection because the Curry's alumni relations, like the head honcho there, Curry's a big booster for Katuitt. So that's kind of how that connection was made. And they're like, oh, if he's putting up numbers, like maybe at the end of the summer we can squeeze him in. And the manager for the Rocks at the time, Tad Skelly, was really like nice enough to be like, hey, like when you leave, like whatever, if it doesn't work out, you're more than welcome to come back. So I had 2 moments where I had to like take a couple days off because I thought I was going to the Cape, and then I come back. I mean, my teammates still busted my chops for it, but when it came down to the playoffs, and I was like, I had to make a choice. Do I want to wait out the rest of the summer like for Katuitt to pick me up, or do I just cut off and say, look, I want to win a championship with Brockton? And I ultimately made the choice where I was like, I'm done waiting around. These guys like have been by my side since the summer started, and we all want to win. And that's what we end up doing. But it was tough having that first round loss. But like it's crazy to think like I think that 2016 team there was more talented individuals when it came to like you had a guy that played for Team USA was an 11th round draft pick and some of these guys from like bigger name schools, but I think we barely made playoffs or we lost the wild card and some of those guys wanted to go home so they can resume like the school year starting like that. They didn't want to stay past their school time where for Brockton it was like you had to drag us to leave there.
Right.
Like that 2017 team. I think that's what made it 2017 way more enjoyable.
Right. And that's like something I've seen in a lot of teams. Like there'll be guys that are like, I want to go home. Because that league is tough on you guys as players because you start Memorial Day weekend, so you come home probably for like a day or two maybe, and then you have to go play for the summer, especially the out-of-state guys. Yeah. And then you stay until beginning of August, which is basically you have a week home, and then you have to go back to school again. So it's a long, grueling season. It's the longest collegiate league I've seen. So it is tough on you guys, but you're right. That league, that year, I saw no one that wanted to go. Everyone wanted to win.
The good part was, too, is like even it's just from the players there, they treated the employees, the interns with a lot of respect, too. Like they weren't like that 2017 team, they didn't have a lot of egos. Like they treated people great. Like some of the people I still talk to this day, like you, Moran, like some of the other interns, like I still stay in touch with a lot because I mean, I went to a D3 school, like those sort of day, like I'm not a big shot just because I'm playing for Brockton, like I'm still a human as well, like we're all just people. And there's no point to using like your like status of where you are, like, oh, I'm a baseball player, like I think I'm better than you. It's like, no, like let's be honest, like once you graduate college, most of us don't play baseball at the next level at this point. So now it's like graduate college, like that's in the past, like no need to reflect about the glory days.
Right. And that year, I can only think of maybe one other time that I saw something like that, and I worked there for
years.
Yeah, I worked there 10 years. Years. John said 100 years.
Steve was the same height then when he first started.
How old were you when you first started?
I was going into my freshman year of high school.
Wow.
And had a beard and was 6'10".
They thought I was a player by year 2. But there was only in the collegiate years, the 7 collegiate years I worked there was probably only one other year that I compared that to. And as far as overall, like you said, interns, staff, players, coaches, there was probably only one other year, and that was probably my favorite. Those 2 years were my favorite years working.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Was I working any of those years?
I don't know. Did you work there in 2017?
I worked.
We were all Brockton Rocks
we've all
alumni.
worked there.
We've all worked there.
Yeah, I was a usher.
You were an usher there.
The amount of times I like
so bad at my
He
job.
was a terrible usher. He was terrible. I told him, I was like, hey, they said, John, could you go tell these kids to get off the dugout? He's like, I gotta go yell at them. I
didn't like telling kids to stop having fun.
Well, then again, you're the person we gotta turn up the mic volume to. Now you're just talking so soft.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense.
I remember one time there was kids like standing by the dugout. He's like, I don't want to go tell them to stop talking.
Yeah,
I'd stop like jumping
having
on the
fun.
dugout. And James worked there as a usher, ticket taker the last couple of years. But yeah, like you said, that year. I remember the second year you worked there, played there. It was just like a special group, and we all have the interns wise. I'm in a fantasy football group that we got in after that season. We're still in it, and we still get at each other's. Like it's so much fun.
Is Moran still hitting you up to gamble at this point? Shout out to Jack Moran.
Yeah, Jack's a big gambler. We talk a little gambling.
But
Jack's a friend of the pod.
Jack's a friend who's been on the pod. He's been on the pod.
It's a fun thing with Jack.
Was he the first one that was on Zoom?
He was our first. I think he was our first Zoom guest.
I think so.
Yeah. The dark days of Zoom.
Man.
Yeah, then I got the upgrade to come to the nice studio this time.
Yeah, you're the first. Yeah,
Exactly.
I hate the
VIP
Zoom
treatment.
days.
What?
I hate the Zoom days.
The Zoom was tough.
Zoom days was rough.
Zoom was tough.
A lot of extra work, more than you'd think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially with the camera quality and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. The quality is much better on this stuff than doing it on our laptops or whatever.
It's a much better feel too. Like you actually can interact with people.
Yeah, but coming back to full things just from the baseball journey, like a lot of people that I've met through like either like my freshman year of college to the Rocks now, like it's come full circle to the point where I was co-workers in sales with Moran's childhood best friend. And then one of my buddies from Hanover roomed with one of Moran's other best friends in college. And then
wow. Isn't that funny? That's so weird.
So it's crazy how everything kind of comes into full circle. And like now, like I'm working out at a gym in Hanover, Atlantic Baseball, where Max Detondo, who I pretty much played with in Dirt Dogs, and I played with his little brother growing up way back in the day. And like now, like I can go there and work out and like utilize that gym to the best of my ability. And like it's just crazy to like look back and see how everything is kind of coming full circle now.
It's baseball. I mean, it's a small world. We always say that, but baseball itself is a small world.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone knows everyone. Like I can go, like at last year at the Paw Sox when I worked there, you'd think probably no one I know knows anyone from the Rocks or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I was just going to work. I went to the Rocks, stopped by to say hello to the front office, and one of the guys in the front office, who's the GM now, said, I used to coach Rajay Davison like back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And
was it UConn, Point Avery or whatever?
Yeah, I forget the team, but he was like, I knew Rajay pretty well back in the day. So when I went there, I just said, I think I know your old coach. And I said, it's like, oh yeah. And it was like, this guy who played Major League Baseball knows like,
it's the connections, which is crazy.
Yeah. And plus like, we're getting to the point now where, you know, I know you didn't play with him, but Jake, he's been on the pod before, Jake Fishman. He was in Double-A for Blue Jays, which is the Fisher Cats, and then the next step was
Triple-A.
Fisher Cats was Double-A.
Yeah.
Triple-A, I forget, what's the Triple-A team?
It's for the Blue Jays, right?
Yeah. I forget the name. But they come and play Pawtucket. That's one of the teams they play all the time. So I was like, the whole summer, I was like, I wonder if he's going to get the call up, because if he does, I'll see him when he comes in.
Exactly. And it's crazy sometimes to think like, oh, like we were here at Campanelli, and now like both you guys are moving up to like minor leagues, and like you're one step away from the show at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty. I don't know about me, but him.
But yeah, you know what I mean. It's like
I just do laundry, Griff. I know.
What do you mean? I did it with you for 2 years.
Right.
That's how me and Steve-O got so close. I needed some extra money on the side because I was living at home, so I really couldn't work. So I told Steve, I was like, hey, like I'll help out like after games. So like after the games ended with all the other players left, like I would pick up the trash with Steve-O, do the laundry. So sometimes he would go down the Cape in the mornings. He'd be like, hey, Griff, I'm not gonna make it till whatever time. Can you flip the laundry and get there early? And I was like, yeah. So that's how I was always there pretty early as well. So I was always able to get my work in. So might as well.
Nice.
But there was one time where you forgot to do something, and we had damp jerseys on a bus ride to Martha's Vineyard, and nobody was happy.
What was that?
Whoa.
I don't know, but I guarantee if I share this story with some of the Ross guys, they know exactly what was going to happen.
Let's make this clear on this stuff, because I've
Wait
had
a
some
minute.
complaints about damp stuff. You did laundry, so you obviously know. Did you see the monstrosity that we had?
Oh
back
yeah,
then?
dude! Like nothing was bad after a day game, and like you see a kid slide like head first. Like it got to the point where I'm watching the game live, and I see this guy diving all the time. I'm like,
That's brutal. But not even that. Like the laundry itself isn't bad. It's when you have something from 1999 that you have to like. There was the dryer.
You gotta wash KO's suit.
I didn't do that. I dropped. I drew
No.
the line there.
Have you ever had to be in KO suit?
Nah.
Oh, dude.
You were in KO
Well,
suit?
yeah. So I would like anytime in like if I like before the season started, like I need some odd jobs, like I would hop in the KO suit to make like extra cash on the side.
Sorry, bud.
Wait, how'd you do that and pitch?
Before the season.
Yeah, so,
No, pictures of the KO suit.
yeah,
the KO suit.
Yeah, so
Come on.
so they had like say that they had a school promotion for something like that.
Oh, okay.
Tom would text me, or Todd or Ben. They'd be like, hey Dave, are you around this time for like an hour or so? I need you at school appearance, and can you be KO? I'm like,
wow,
sure. So that's what I would do.
Was it fun?
Honestly, dude, I felt like a celebrity. Like you got like
yeah. That's awesome.
You didn't say anything when you were KO, right?
Oh no, someone
KO
told me.
can't talk.
Oh yeah,
can't
no,
talk.
no, those little kids definitely tried to get me to like, they're trying to provoke me to say something because like they'd be just like talking smack, saying like, "Bet you're not real" or whatever. Like they like, dude, I have one little kid like literally punched me in the side, and I was like, I had to act like I actually got hit, even though like you have like the big suit.
Yeah.
So I hit it, I'd be like, ugh.
Right.
I was like,
That's alright.
Back off, kid.
I'm about to whip him my tail, just hit it to the side.
Yeah, don't
Back
call him
off,
KO
kid.
for nothing.
Yeah.
KO knocks out a kid at a local school.
KO knocks out someone.
Wow.
Imagine that as like a headline.
Yeah.
I love that.
Everyone's favorite marsupial.
That was how they introduced him at the Rocks game.
Really?
Everyone's favorite marsupial, KO. Shout out Scott Sudikoff, the voice of the Brockton Rocks. Yeah, those were fun times. But to say the dryer was broken 90% of the time. You don't realize how much I'd have to slam. There would be literally times I'm kicking the thing.
Dude, I think I had a bad once or twice. I smacked the thing.
It was like ridiculous. It was so old and broken, and I hope they get a new one.
You know it's bad when the barrel where we flow the water was starting to break the other way. Like, remember like the barrel, like we try to like the container, the Tupperware, where we put everything in, like we fill it with so much water in jerseys where it started to break.
You mean to like when we soak the stuff? Yeah. That was. Yeah, well, those were like years. Those I bought those when I went in there, so they were like 5 or 6 years old. But think about it.
You tell me you couldn't go to like Kmart to get like a newer one for like $1 or like $1.99?
Dave, have you played? You played?
Do you know the Rock's budget?
Do you know the Rock's budget?
I mean, dude, like at that point, I would have threw it out of my pocket just for like a charity at this point, like Make-A-Wish.
I donated some stuff to there. That fan, I bought a fan one year.
Oh, dude, that was so hot in there, like some of those times.
Well, because AC never worked, so I bought a fan for like the clubhouse use, and I forgot to bring it. I came back, it was broken the next year. I was so ticked off.
Yeah. I mean, I think nowadays, like, last time I talked to Tom, probably in like November, he was telling me how the town of Brockton agreed to a terms with Campanelli to like help fund the stadium and like renovate it.
I heard that they were gonna, but good. I think with the virus, I don't know how that's worked out, because like I think everything got shut down.
Oh, and then I got another good story. One more last Campanelli story. So
I'm nervous.
This is before I went to Indy Ball out in Lake Erie. So like in between when I quit my sales job and before I was going to wherever, like I had like a 2-week, 3-week period where I need to make some money. So they hired a brand new grounds crew guy, and I helped him out for stuff like getting the stadium prepared and everything like that. So they laser measured the field to see like what everything was at, like to trim like certain grass stuff. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, the mound to home plate was 60 feet 10 inches for multiple summers.
What's that mean?
It was 4 inches. It was 4 inches too long. It was longer than regular.
Oh.
So at this point, pitches were throwing slow. Curveballs were hanging.
Oh.
That made a lot of sense why my curveball never.
Wait, how long was that a problem for?
I have no idea. Probably for like numerous years.
It's probably never been changed.
Well, they just fixed it.
Well, that's what I mean. Like up until that point, it was probably never.
Oh yeah.
It was probably just the same as it was back in Indy Ball. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Or they did it because they redid the whole infield, so maybe that happened.
That's when they
measured it, or they
laser measured it. Was it last year? And that's when they found out that it was 4 inches too long, and then they went to work to fix it all up and everything like that. So this past summer, it was regular dimensions.
Wow, that's
for the first time in Rock's history. They're like, oh.
I know, right?
They redid the infield like 7 years ago. They put in that clay infield, so maybe that's when that happened.
Who knows?
I don't know. But
erosion.
That doesn't surprise me.
The place has just gone downhill ever since Oil Can left.
Big oil can.
Big oil can fan.
I don't know if you heard the last episode, but when we did the all-time series, the big oil.
Yeah,
can.
I saw that as a catcher. I was like,
gotta put those old man knees to work.
Dude, like, I was like, what? Like, I saw like the results from that, and I was like, oil can catcher Yastrzemski first base. I was like, who? What?
Yastrzemski. We put Yastrzemski at first.
Yeah, someone did. I think it was you.
It
was you.
I put him at first.
Yeah, it's on the thing.
I'll put it right now.
Yeah,
Why was Yaz at first?
Yaz was at first base.
Oh boy.
That's why I was ready to give Steve-O some crap when I came in here today.
I don't know why Yaz was at first.
And we did these together, too.
I was gonna say.
Any lefty can play first base.
I don't know why we did that. I don't know why I did that. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up.
I want to move on in your career, though.
Yeah, let's move on. We can talk about Yaz after. So now you're in. We were talking about it. You're in Indy Ball. You played last year, and now you had a good first year or two. Right?
Yes and no. I got injured halfway through, so my forearm flexor, I strained it pretty bad, so I had to get a PRP injection. So that put me out for like a month and a half.
Oh, that sucks.
And I was having control issues to begin with. I mean, my first 2 outings when I signed with Gary, I did pretty good, but then over time, just like lack of command and everything. So I essentially got released at one point, but then my manager, instead of putting the paperwork through, he said, hey, like, I want you to be a starter instead. Are you okay with that? Because I didn't start the whole entire season. Which at that point, my mentality, the confidence kind of wavered. I'm like, I'm not so sure. So I was actually going home on my way home because I denied it. And then at that point, someone kind of lit a fire underneath me. Now it's like, okay, like, I got my chip back. Like, I need to go prove some people wrong. So I head back out to Gary, and in my 2 starts, I threw like 9 innings of 2-hit baseball, and I had a no-hitter going into like the 6th inning of my last outing.
Wow.
I mean, I was 90 to 93, hitting 94.
Wow. Yeah, because I saw something online last year when you played. It must have been then, because you were lights out for the 2. I saw like a few outings I watched online.
Yeah.
And you were pretty lights out on those.
Yeah, I mean, it was trying to get back into the rhythm because, I mean, I was also coming off an elbow injury at the end of my 2018 college season. That's why I kind of stopped playing for a while, because it got to the point where even just like doing like regular stuff like turning a doorknob, holding groceries, typing, writing something, like I would feel shooting pain all through here.
Wow.
Like I had like even in my knuckles, so I had like a bad case of tendonitis where I could literally, like, this is how far I could straighten out my arm.
Jesus.
So that's what kind of, I had to take a step back for almost a year and just rehab everything on my own, go physical therapy on top of that, and also work full-time in sales.
Wow. Yeah, that's unreal. Especially when you get that damage like in your arm where it's like you can't do nothing. It's like it's unbearable.
Yeah, it's like I couldn't hit. Like, I was never a good hitter in high school. That's why I didn't play position in college. So at that point, how am I going to expect myself to make the jump from high school hitting to the pros, which
Did you have to hit in the pros?
Well, if you make it to AA and AAA, they have pitchers hit.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Other, was it the NL or whatever? Yeah.
Oh, so in the NL, like the NL.
The NL, AAA, and AA teams, like they gotta have pitchers hit.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense because I got to do it in the pros.
But
so.
I think they're getting rid of. I think they're making a universal DH rule, anyways.
Oh,
Which
really?
Wow.
I heard that. I'm not too big fan of, because that's what we live for as pitchers at times.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense too. Like I get it. Like, you're trying to increase the popularity in the game, but sometimes pitchers live for that, just to get that one shot, like glory moment to just run it when I was once an athlete.
Yeah, and it's like it brings up a strategy point too for baseball too. Like like pitchers coming up, we're bunting or pinch hitter. Do we do a double switch?
Exactly.
Like, it's fun, especially for like a DH. Like, at least for me in the AL, when you go to a National League team, it's interesting to see those guys hit.
Yeah, and like you really get to see the managers get their money's worth when it comes to strategizing. Like, they get the money, like they make the big bucks by figuring out how to put the right pieces into place on the field and when to utilize people at the right time.
Right. I hope they don't get rid of that rule, because I kind of don't add that rule, I guess, because I like when the pitchers hit in the National League.
Some of these guys can hit. Who was it?
Was it
DeGrom? Used to be a two-way guy at his school, and he took Chris Sale deep in college. Didn't
Matt Bumgarner?
Bumgarner rakes, and so does
doesn't he?
Zambrano, Dontrell Willis, like some of those guys, like just are a really good hitter. Was it Archie Bradley? He was the first relief pitcher in postseason history to hit a triple, like in a postseason game. Like, some of those guys just like are just good athletes.
Yeah. I think I remember from the 07 years, there was like, I think it was, who was it? It was either Beckett or Dice-K hit a home run in like the World Series or something. It was like one of those two guys hit a bomb like to left center.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that was the coolest thing ever, because I think it was Dice-K.
I hope Dice-K is on my team.
Of course, it was the Japanese.
I love Dice-K.
Those players are so fundamentally sound.
It was like, remember, were you there when they had USA versus Japan?
Yeah, I didn't go to the game though.
That was like, to watch them play, getting a little off topic again, but like to that point, like watching them run, because they had like a mini practice before, to watch them run a practice and like play the game.
It's a totally different. Yeah, just the philosophies of the game is completely different. Like, I love watching Japanese pitchers more than American pitchers, because they're so fluent and they're so articulate about every little thing. It just looks so smooth coming out of their hands. And like, one of my teammates from the summer was from Japan, so I actually have in my car like a Japanese Wilson staff. Like, it's different than your normal American like Wilson. So it's actually not even on the U.S. market. So if I was able to sell that glove right now, I get $500 to $600 in the American market.
Wow. Yeah, it's just so interesting to see the difference in basically like technique and how they play the game, and also like something with that in the like their All-Star game I saw, they do like a bunt contest. Oh yeah, like they like to see accuracy. You have to bunt like to the different spots.
Yeah, I mean they prize themselves on being fundamentally sound, and like it's just crazy overall. Just like watching everything. That's what I love.
But now to get back into it, for you, we were talking for this year. the league that you played in is playing, but your team itself isn't playing. Why don't you explain that to everyone?
Yeah,
Like, 'cause
so
it is interesting.
Yeah, so I'm a part of the American Association, which last year I played for the SouthShore RailCats in Gary, Indiana. Shout out to the hometown of the Jackson 5.
Ooh, fire.
Yeah, so there's a 60-game schedule instead of a 100-game schedule. You have 3 hub locations for these games. You have Fargo, North Dakota on the North Dakota State campus. You have Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and then you have Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is more like Gardner because that's where they are. But there's 2 teams per hub, and they're just going to travel back and forth. Most of the days they're going to have Mondays off anyways, just to make sure like everyone's okay and stuff like that, and just travel because those were the only 3 states out of like the 12 states in the league that were able to host fans at a decently large number. So, like Gary, like myself, got cut or they didn't make it. The 2 Texas teams didn't, and then there was Sioux City, Iowa, and Kansas City, Missouri. They weren't the ones that didn't make the cut, which is crazy.
When you say fans, how many fans are we talking at these new locations?
Who knows? I mean, I think it's closer to 50 to 75% full capacity at the stadiums.
Wow, that's a ton.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, even during like last year, like when I was in St. Paul, Minnesota, like on a Friday night game, we had 10,000 fans there on a weekend series.
Oh, wow.
And like that stadium, I think was honestly, Steve-O, easily could have been the best minor league stadium in the country. Like it was so pure, like it was Major League Field. Like honestly, like the technology over there was crazy.
I wonder because like some of these minor league independent ball team like stadiums were former like single A or double A stadium. Like for example, Pawtucket, when they leave to, go to Worcester, that stadium's going to be empty. Someone's going to come in and use it. So I wonder who's going to be, and it could be an independent league, could be a minor league.
I mean, from what I'm hearing, and too, on top of that, I think Major League Baseball and minor league baseball are cutting down the minor league teams anyways. So a lot of those teams that are getting the boot are going to become independent baseball. So you'll actually see a grow in the independent aspect of it. Because every team in the MLB, like their farm system, they have 5 minor league teams on top of that. So essentially, I think they're only keeping like either A ball or just AA, AAA in the majors. That's it. But like, there's gonna be a lot. The talent level is gonna be a lot more competitive this upcoming years, anyways.
They have to have like a rookie league too, right? Like they'll probably keep
that's
A
ball. That's A ball,
and then AA, AAA. That makes sense.
But not like no like short season, no high A or low A. Like you really don't need that. I mean, even instructional leagues at that point, it's like, do you really need it?
Yeah, there's so many. We talked about this with Jake. There's so many levels of baseball.
Oh yeah, I mean, even in like there's some Dominican leagues too, where like they literally, like the Red Sox, the Mets, like they have 2 teams out there just in the organization training guys.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like and that's what we said. Like with the draft, like when you get drafted, it doesn't mean you're gonna play. Like when you get drafted in an NBA, you get drafted in the NFL. You're more than likely going to be an impactful player or play at some point. When you get drafted in MLB, you could be a first-round pick and never see not first-round pick, like a high-round pick.
And never pan out.
Never play in the major league.
Like I think baseball's the one sport where it doesn't matter what division you go to, you have a chance of making it big time. Like you have a chance to make it to the show because if you're good enough and you put up some competitive numbers, like teams will find you. And now it's just from there. Like, I mean, I'm a prime example of that at Division III level. Like I was pitching against Daniel Nava last summer. Like I thought that was pretty cool. Like watching this guy in 2013, and now I'm pitching against him.
Yeah.
Like I met Brandon Phillips this past February when I was down in Florida training.
wow.
Like that guy was one of the most genuine guys I've ever met too. Wicked nice guy. He had a lot of good things to say about Boston.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I think he had he got signed to a minor league contract last year.
Yeah, and then he got called up in his first day against the Braves. He hit a game go-ahead grand slam to put the Sox up 8-7 in the top of the 9th when the Red Sox were down 7-0 to start the game.
Gee.
That was a special team. Yeah,
that's what Phillips said too. He goes for someone not being like not used to being like the guy.
Yeah.
He goes at first he thought it was gonna be hard for himself, but just the team for the Red Sox, they made it so enjoyable to be around. He goes he didn't care. He goes he just wanted to win, and that's where he got the World Series ring and stuff like that. Like he wished he was able to play in the postseason, but obviously he knows how things panned out. But he still got the ring,
right?
Which he was happy about because every athlete chases that championship ring at some point.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good time as any to get into it. we had a lot of news broke out last night, the Monday, about Rob Manfred and baseballs. Doesn't look like it's coming back. What is your? I mean, I'm not surprised, but what are your thoughts, like, from what the commissioner said? And
Yeah, I mean, at this point too, it's like it's tough to hate because like money makes the world talk at this point. Like money has a big influence on everything, and like it's kind of getting tough when owners want to come minor leagues and just release players. Like even this past month, like since I think April to now, 1,200 minor leaguers have been released, and
Wow.
That's
oh my
all-
God.
yeah, so all those guys are coming to indie ball if they're playing. So now it's making that field way more competitive at this point. And back to what I was saying about the American Association, that's the only pro baseball league that's scheduled to play now. So now there's a surplus of talent,
right.
and who knows what's gonna happen. But it's just tough because obviously like the owners like they want to save their money, and Rob Manfred, like he has to agree to both sides. But then again too, it tends to show at times how it seems like I'm gonna say seems like that the commissioner doesn't have his players' backs when these guys are willing to play at any point. Like they just want to play, but they just want to, for their own safety, to make sure they're fully compensated for their salaries. And I as much as I hate saying this, but I'm surprised we haven't seen the face of baseball speak out, Mike Trout. He's been uber quiet about this, which
That's true.
I hate to see because like I love Mike Trout. I think he's a generational. He's probably gonna be top 5 players of all time.
Yeah.
But it's tough where right now MLB's like you gotta be very careful how you portray yourself at this point. And I feel like Mike Trout's a personality. He's a very lovable guy. He's a very talented guy. It's just he's gotta be careful how we go about things because like look at Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper's a very charismatic person. Bryce Harper is being marketed more than Mike Trout is because of his personality and stuff like that. But then again, Mike Trout's a better player than Bryce Harper.
Right.
So it's tough to kind of go about that business. So I do see both sides. It's just tough to see how at this point everyone's like, okay, like you only want 40 games for the playoff revenue. Well, guess what? Some teams don't make the playoffs.
Right.
Like you're telling me you can't take a financial hit at this point and then just go. And the tough part is like the players already know that they're going to take a salary cut from whatever, like back in March. Like
Right.
I think it was 162 minus how many games they missed, and that's going to be their salary for this upcoming season. That's when it's at 100% prorated. But now on top of that, the owners want to take even more of a pay cut. And how can you expect some of these players that are supposed to be getting $35 million like Mike Trout to only get $5 million for this year? Like,
Right.
you can't expect
make
people
sense.
to adjust to, like, if they're making like that kind of money and they're expecting to live that lifestyle, you can't expect them to take a big hit like that so quick.
Yeah.
And that's where everyone's just kind of like,
See,
we
what
don't have to hold out.
What we said on the pod was, like we've said in the past, what I'm surprised people haven't done is you're gonna take this cut, like Major League Baseball and owners, you're gonna take this cut and maybe it's a little bigger than we want, but you're gonna get that money over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Like have a contract and say you get this much money extra.
Well, here's what made things get tricky. The CBA is set to expire soon.
Oh, that's right. It expires this year.
Oh.
Yeah, so now it's like, what are you going to do then? So at this point, if they can't make a deal for that, we might not even see baseball for next year if they can't figure out the CBA.
Right.
And then like half the argument of the CBA to begin with was the minor league stuff as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And now you got this coming in. Now it's like, oh boy.
Right.
Because the reason, did you see the reason why Manfred went from saying, oh, 100% baseball will be getting played this year to I'm not so sure now?
No.
So what happened was they were going to get the deal done. Like the players were ready to go, be like, all right, 70%, whatever. But back in March when they agreed to the deal about their the prorated stuff, in the underlying stuff it says you're going to play to your best ability to make things work. So MLB is breaching that contract that was originally signed so that players can file for grievance and all that stuff and get more money, get their money back out of it. And it just happens that one of the lawyers for the MLBPA leaked that out to whoever, and obviously the owners caught wind of that and like, oh, so they're just going to take the deal and then sue us afterwards and then they're going to get even more money. No, we're not doing that anymore. We'll just hold out. So that's where it's starting to get tricky. Because the PA lawyer leaked something. If they just bit his tongue on that and just pulled that off, who knows what would have happened. I mean, it's tough to see these players like not playing when they're like they were ready to just roll, then all of a sudden, boom, everything got shut down.
Right.
But it seems like there isn't any leadership trying to talk about this in good faith and be like, look, let's give these guys a reasonable deal. Let's try and figure out something that's middle of the road. You know, we give a little, you guys give a little, because no one could have planned for what's happened here. I know it's a money thing, but also at the same time, the problem becomes this is just going to keep being this endless revolving door of he said, she said, you might agree, she might agree, he might, you know what I mean?
Well, they're trying to turn the players against each other, and here's the crazy part.
You shouldn't be doing that.
This season is the first time where the players, the MLBPA is agreed with everything, from the prorated salaries, the Houston Astros scandal on top of that. So like this is the first time where the players union is so on the same page about everything, and that's what MLB, the owners, don't like to see, because normally they can roughly about 65% of MLB players are making under $1 million. Yeah. So the majority are under $1 million, where everyone's thinking, oh, these guys make millions of dollars. That's not the case. Luckily, those guys are making $500,000 at minimum, which is a lot still to begin with, but also you play 162 games normally. Yeah. Right. But I mean, with the prorated stuff, a $500,000 contract goes to $150,000. So it's like, you're really going to risk yourself for that?
Right. And that's the thing, like, these guys are going to be risking, no matter how many games, when they play, they're going to be risking, pitchers are going to be risking their elbows, their shoulders, that can screw them up.
And they can ruin their careers for money.
Yeah. So they want to make sure they're being compensated, which makes sense. The owners got to kind of, they realize they're going to take a loss on the season anyway if they play. And they're trying to make
apparently the average owner is making $700 million right now during this holdout. That's what I saw somewhere online. Well, the owners are still making a lot of money holding this out.
Also,
that's what I'm saying.
Something to consider, though, when you own a team, you're aware of the risk that you're taking. And for all the years that these teams have done fantastically well financially, for you to have one bad year, I hate to say it, but if you don't have at least some money back up in the bank or something to happen, I'm not saying most businesses don't have, 10 or 20% of what they make in the bank, but at least something to work this out or to have something to be able to pay people or be able to, you know what I mean, have some flexibility.
Well, here's the tough
That's
part.
The problem, considering you have so many teams here that are worth, what, billions?
Yeah, some. I mean, there's at least probably 5 or 6 off the top of my head that are worth billions of dollars.
If not, every team is at least worth, what, 500 million?
Yeah. And
so, there's got to be some wiggle room there.
Well, the tough part is a lot of people want to own teams to make their net worth and their assets grow. Some of them don't. Some of them aren't owners because they love the game. Honestly, Rob Manfred,
John Henry.
Rob Manfred, I mean, at this point, I mean, he was handling the A-Rod investigation, A-Rod for steroids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, like, people originally hated Buck Selig for all that, but, like, he also kept some stuff, like, he kept the game going in, like, good terms. Like, he was in a delicate situation.
Yeah.
If you want, like, a textbook material on how to not handle something correctly, look at MLB baseball in the 2020 season, how everything's going down right now. From the Astros when it comes to PR, when it comes to taking care of stuff. And
Manfred's terrible, and that's like I've said this for a long time, going back to like when the Astros stuff broke out, and even before then. He's not a good commissioner. He doesn't love the game.
He's looking at it from a business perspective.
He's a business and numbers
guy. That's
tough, and that's not good for baseball right now,
especially with the game growing.
Right, and the game right now
they're trying to grow.
Yeah, we've talked about this several times. That you need someone that's passionate about the game, that loves the fundamentals of baseball and what it's supposed to be about, not necessarily about the numbers only. There's got to be that middle ground.
Right.
Where numbers do matter. Don't get me wrong, the business side of this is very important, but if you lose the heart of baseball and what makes it baseball, and you don't seem to care about the players or the fans' experience, then of course it's going to go terribly.
Even with like the rule changes, like we're trying to speed up the game. I get it. Baseball, for people that don't really love baseball, it is a long game.
Well, here's a fun fact. An MLB game is shorter than an NFL game.
Yeah, but I think it has to do with less action, though. There's a lot more dead space in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tough part, too. The average person that's not a fan of baseball, they just watch, like, oh, throw a ball, hit a ball. But think about it this way. You got to have 2 round objects connect squarely, which is hard in itself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's why people are saying, like the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire 30 for 30 that just came out, like, this past Sunday or whatever. Like, home runs. People wanted to see home runs. Like, there's a reason why the baseballs were juiced from the 2019 season, which it just, ironically enough, like, was it Under Armour and Fanatics took over the uniforms and the baseballs and stuff like that. So the baseballs were flying out more. Like, that's why you saw such a spike in whatever.
Right. The baseballs were like different this year.
And they went back to the old ones in the postseason to make games a lot closer and make the game more interesting.
Right. I saw that a lot, like in Pawtucket, or heard about it and watching baseball. They juiced the balls just so we could see more home runs, which we talked about it. It was fun to watch. Barry Bonds days, which we'll get into. The Barry Bonds home run days were fun. because you're like, is he going to hit 80 home runs? Who knows?
The big red zone is so pro steroids. It's crazy.
Well, here's the thing too. Like the whole steroid stuff. Like this is my perspective. It's like, if it's to help you recover faster and you want to take the risk of that, that's on you.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that just solely because of steroids, you're telling me somebody can time up a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and hit it 450 feet to right field? It's like, no, like that takes a lot of like hand-eye coordination. Stuff like
Steroids
that.
don't replace skills, or they don't give you skills you don't have. It only enhances maybe a portion of either reaction times or the power that you can put into it.
Yeah, they help you
and
sustain.
helps with recovery. Yeah, exactly.
They just make
so
you
you still
awesome.
have. Well, the thing is, if you can't
Long
already
gone
do
summer.
it, steroids aren't going to be able to let you do it if you can't already do that.
Yeah.
So, not for nothing. It's not like you're getting these people that are like, they never played baseball. You give them steroids, and all of a sudden they can hit home runs.
Well,
Yeah,
this
you
is-
got Steve hitting 500 home runs in his career.
yeah.
Well, this is a good. I don't know if you guys are done with like that topic. What the next thing was the Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Segue
We
to
can
the
move-
Hall of Fame.
Manfred
That's a
stinks. That was
that's
the
a
main
good
takeaway.
segue.
That's a
Yeah,
good.
That's a
that's gonna
good
be a very good
segue.
My feeling, and there's been a debate again over the last like couple days. Does Barry Bonds deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? And then they said, well, if Bonds gets to be in the Hall of Fame, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. My opinion is they both should be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose, he was probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest hitters ever to play baseball.
I agree. Which we're gonna have a good debate about this one because when it comes to Barry Bonds, like talent wise, like I think Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame 1,000%. Like that guy. He's been intentionally walked more times than some strikeouts. And on top of that, he's been the only player in MLB history to be intentionally walked to start off an inning.
Yeah, he's a
And
monster.
the thing with Pete Rose, though, like I actually talked to some former big league guys about this. I was like, so because of the whole Astros scandal and stuff like that, people are now saying they'd rather face guys in the steroid area. Like I still, like because of this, like I think McGuire, Sosa, and some of them should be in the Hall of Fame because of this. Because like the whole Astros sign stealing scandal, like if you ask a pitcher right now, would you rather throw to a guy on steroids or would you rather throw to a guy that knows what's coming? 10 out of 10 times they're going to say I'd rather throw to a guy that's on steroids and who's not expecting pitches to happen. But when it comes to the Pete Rose situation, since like 1970s or so, MLB, they have a meeting every year saying you can't give insider information and you cannot bet on games. Which, yeah, you can bet on your own games even though you're not playing, but still it's not a good look for the league. And he still went about that rule the wrong way and just like, I'm a manager, whatever. Like even though I can't affect it, but it's like, but you're telling me like, okay, Pete has us winning by how many? He's going to try to run up the score or try to keep it in between. Like we don't know what his bets were, but at the same time, it's like if he has a chance to fix that, then like fix like his stat line or scores or whatever, so he can make some money. That's kind of not. That's somewhat tarnishing the game.
Well, here's my thing. Two things. One, for Pete Rose, I'm not looking at him as a manager. I'm looking at him as a player. He was a switch hitter, and he was like batting 300 on both sides. I didn't even know he was a switch hitter. He was a switch hitter, and like he hit better on one side, but he was like he's a switch. He just was that good, and he was. I said one of the most dominant, not dominant, but best hitters I've seen. What he did as a coach, fine, I can see that. Yeah. But to say that as the player, Pete Rose, a player, he can't be in the Hall of Fame is ludicrous. When we nominate, like, is Terry Francona? I say it just as an example. Is Terry Francona going to be inducted as a coach or a player? If he got inducted
probably
into the
as a coach.
As a coach, right? It's not going to look at anything he did when he was playing, probably.
I mean, Terry Francona coached the greatest basketball player of all time in baseball, Michael Jordan.
That's true.
Did he really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He was the minor league
That's
coach.
That's a riot. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that until the Last Dance thing.
A lot of people said, Terry Francona says if Jordan stuck out baseball for like another year or two, like he would have thought Jordan would have made the show because he had that work ethic and he kind of had.
He wasn't that bad either.
No, he wasn't. Once he started figuring it out, like he was really good.
Because he took like 10 years off. Anyways, that's a whole other discussion. He took 10 years off before he played baseball again, and he hit like 2-something in like AAA. That's astonishing.
I got another rant for you another time about the Mets, though, like how they handle their front office, but that's another. But when it comes to like Tim Tebow and stuff like that, like one of their second rounders got released, and he went off saying how like the Mets are trying to bring in more money. Like they were probably going to hire Tim. They were probably going to call up Tim Tebow to bring in a shit ton of money.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
But like it's a lose-lose when you face a guy like Tebow because. Like you're supposed to get him out, so if you get him out, like, oh, you only got Tebow out, blah blah blah. Yeah. But it's like, oh, if you let up a hit, it's like, oh wow, like you let up a hit to a guy that hasn't been playing pro ball or didn't even play college ball, like.
Right. But sorry to get back to the Pete Rose thing, but I look at it as if you want to tarnish his coaching career, which I mean I don't know much about. Fine. Everything I know about Pete Rose is him being one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. and he deserves to be in on that.
Yeah, but do you guys agree with this though too? They call it the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's your contributions to baseball as a player, a coach, a owner. That's why you see some of these, like the Basketball Hall of Fame, like you see some of these coaches get inducted, or even women, or like Bill Walton's in the Hall of Fame because of what he did as a college basketball player, not because of what he was really doing in the NBA. Because if you look at his NBA career, it's not as impressive as some of these other guys.
Yeah.
Where people are saying, oh, Derrick Rose should be in the NBA Hall of Fame because like how good in his like resurgence, whatever. And it's like your overall contributions to the game. And that's where, like for an example, A-Rod, I think A-Rod should be in the Hall of Fame. A-Rod was a very talented player, and yeah, he like as a player towards the end, he kind of gave off like that diva. No one really liked him, the villain stuff. But when A-Rod became an analyst and just like getting to know guys, like he was a very personable person. Like honestly, I was a big time Derek Jeter fan beforehand, I liked A-Rod, but like I like Jeter more. I'm now more of a fan of A-Rod than I am of Jeter with how he's going about like running a Marlins organization. Like that's the thing. It's their overall contribution to the game.
See,
Yeah.
I'm completely opposite of that.
Yeah.
Like that's why I don't like this 10-year rule where you can get in on 10 years. If you don't make it 1 year, you don't make it you can make it this year. I'm totally against that.
Yeah.
I get it why it's in place because like Kurt Schilling was one of the most dominant pitchers I've ever seen in my life.
But his personality was keeping out of the...
Right, and his political views and his personality post-baseball career is what keeps him out. If you the day he retired and you said, is Kurt Schilling a Hall of Famer, I guarantee 9 out of 10 baseball people would say he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
He has World Series, he has the stats.
One of the most clutch postseason players of all time.
He played, like, the story of playing on a basically bad ankle, a bum ankle, and pitching a gem, dominant. But now he's going into like the later stages of like he may not make the Hall of Fame. It is insulting. And same thing with Bonds.
Clemens
was the most dominant. One of the most dominant.
Clemens was a 7-time Cy Young Award winner. Like for the whole decade, he was utterly dominant. So when you had a Clemens versus Bonds matchup, everybody stopped what they were doing.
Our roided up guy versus your roided up guy.
Exactly. And the thing is too, like baseball's the one sport too where like you can go walk around the stadium, get drunk, and really not pay attention, and like still enjoy being there, and like not miss much action.
Yes, sir.
But like here's the crazy part: the moment you saw a guy like Bonds or Clemens like throw the ball, you stopped what you were doing just to watch exactly what was going on.
Right.
And like that's the impact those guys had so much.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
same thing when Pete Rose played, and that's why I think people would go to watch Pete Rose play.
Yeah.
He was just so dominant.
Well, that Reds team overall was just very talented. They were very good.
But my point being is, it shouldn't matter what you do post you retire. When I look at the Hall of Fame, I look at your career, maybe what you did during your, like if Pete Rose did the cheating during his career, I could be like, all right, he cheated.
Like Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. But
Do you think he should be in the Hall of Fame? Because he was somewhat of a good player.
I don't know much about it. I can't give a opinion about it. I have to look more into it, but how I judge it, and I think also the Hall of Fame is very watered down by now, like especially in other sports. The baseball is kind of keeping it tight, but in NBA, like you said, like Derrick Rose is a great player. I personally don't think he's a Hall of Fame.
No.
So he won 1 MVP and got injured. That I feel bad because I think he could have been a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah.
But it's not what if. Is this guy worthy of it? And I think it shouldn't change 10 years after. It's like either you're a Hall of Famer or not. We do the fame or lame.
Yep.
Do we think he's a Hall of Famer or not? It's not like if you have to be like, well, then he's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And this is something we talked about before. I know I mentioned this before. What are your metrics that you're using to decide who gets in the Hall of Fame? And I know sometimes it's going to be a gray area. I'm aware. But like, what is your standard? What's the bar? Where do you have to be better than to be even considered for it? You know, because that's where it becomes very arbitrary.
Like, I think it's the impact and the situation that they're put in. Like some of these guys, like even LeBron says it back when the Heat played the Celtics at the Garden, that Game 6 where you saw the yellow eyes from LeBron. He said he knew right then and there if he didn't win, it was going to severely impact his legacy. So he knew he had to get there and take care of business. Because there's always stepping stones. If like you want to get great, like you're expected to perform and just hold your own. And if you're the best, like you got to like be the best and like not let anyone else beat you.
Right.
And that's where like Tiger Woods, like his impact that he had on the game, just he'd walk up to the course and everybody would be so intimidated. Like that's just like just the mental game, like Jordan stuff, like where Jordan back in the day used to walk in the visitors' locker room, and be like, oh, like what's good, like dap someone up real quick and walk out. Like everyone's concentration was just gone afterwards because everyone's like, wait, that's Michael Jordan.
But
Like
that's the point, though, is that when you're that dominant, it makes sense to be in the Hall of Fame. But if you're not, then how can you justify people being in the Hall of Fame if they're not that level elite, that like top handful of people?
yeah,
Like, who was the last Hall of Fame class this past year? I forget.
Kobe, Duncan, LeBron.
No, sorry, baseball.
Not LeBron.
Baseball.
It was supposed to be Larry Walker and Jeter. That just got pushed back.
I think Curt Schilling deserves it way more than Larry Walker. I think that playing wise, I think Barry Bonds. I'm surprised he did. Like, I understand, I get it, but he should be in.
The impact with Larry Walker, though, is you got to realize as well. Like Yao Ming I think is in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Think about that. You know why he's in the Hall of Fame is for his impact on the game, for expanding it globally and bringing it to more popular in China. Like Larry Walker is a Canadian baseball player. He was the first real Canadian to bring generational talent into the game of baseball. That's where you got guys like Justin Morneau, not Joe Mauer, Morneau, Joey Votto, and like some of all these Canadian pitchers. Like Roy Halladay, I know he's not Canadian, but just like him performing well as the Blue Jays, like brought that kind of like baseball popular in Canada.
I get that, but I'm saying I get that point, and that's why I can see him being in. But when you're saying a guy that took 10 years to be elected in, that's my point.
I mean, Jim Rice.
Well, same thing with Jim Rice.
It was 14 years.
But, I mean, I think unless it's special circumstances like Roger Clemens, who people are just holding this vendetta against, or Barry Bonds, if you think about this person, are they a Hall of Fame or not? And that's my thing. I just thought it was embarrassing that Curt Schilling did not make that. I ranted on the podcast back then when we did it.
Well, like, here's the thing, too. For like the Hall of Fame, like, okay, who's up for the ballot? It's like, yeah, I know Curt Schilling, but like sometimes out of all those players, which ones do you think are the best, or which ones do you think are like out of all those like deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? And that's where you see guys like on the later years, like they might not be as strong of a class of guys that are eligible. So that's why they get elected in later in time. Like I think Larry Walker is pretty good. I think Todd Helton should be in the Hall of Fame. Like that's just me.
Todd Helton did really well for the Rockies, but that's again like going with my point. Like, that's what I heard. Oh, Curt Schilling didn't make it in, but that's okay because he'll make it in next year because the class isn't as strong. How does that make sense?
Oh, it's all the media.
It's either you make it or you don't, though, at that point.
Right.
If you were that dominant in that level.
His baseball career has nothing to do with me and judging him on the class that he's with. I would say Derek Jeter's probably above him in the class, but doesn't mean you still have a plaque in Cooperstown. It doesn't matter.
Here's the crazy part about the whole Jeter thing. It's that like some media people like severely don't like a player that they can't get him in the Hall of Fame. Like there was literally one guy who purposely didn't want to vote for Jeter because he didn't like it. So he didn't want to have Jeter to hold that. Oh, he's the second unanimous. Like just because since
Babe Ruth just didn't have a unanimous.
Well, just because Ken Griffey didn't get it. That's why too. It's like Mariano.
Well, that was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, like by the way, MLB Network's dropping a Ken Griffey documentary on Sunday.
Oh, that should be good.
Ooh.
I can't wait for that.
They're dropping all these good documentaries.
Dude, The Last Dance. Oh.
That was really good. What are we doing? Are we doing good on time?
102, 103.
We're doing all right.
I could talk all day.
Yeah,
Honestly.
we can push it to an hour and a half. We got a long pod.
We can push it to like 3 hours.
Whatever you guys want to do.
People's topic could talk about SpongeBob.
Yeah, exactly. We got a long pod out of us. I'm excited.
Just like I want to go around the room here and just get your opinion. We'll start with one. I think actually we may all be in agreement. Do we think Bond should be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Bonds,
we love steroids.
Now,
now,
so
we're all
what I
big
would
steroid
say,
guys.
I would just put a little asterisk next to it.
No!
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Oh,
No,
wait a minute.
get
Shut
out
up.
of here.
Do you
Shut
want
up.
a participation trophy too?
Wow.
Shut up. The only thing I'm going to say with that, what I would have near the asterisk is, look, even though people think with the drugs or the steroids or whatever, for what he still did in his time, whether you agree or disagree, you still can't take away from his performance. So with the asterisks, I would say, even though some people might disagree that he, took steroids and did whatever, that you still can't take away from the accomplishments of it.
in my opinion, putting an asterisk takes away from his accomplishments.
How?
You're bringing up the fact that people are taking
It's
away.
making an outlier.
Just
Fair enough.
put it
You
up
do you.
there and be like, you made it.
That'd be a riot to see
that's like KD like getting a Finals MVP for the Warriors or the Finals like be like, oh, NBA champion, Golden State Warriors this shit. And then you just put an asterisk because it was easy. Like,
Because it was easy. Because he went to like with 3 other superstars.
He literally went to
The
best team in NBA history after the most historical season. Like
It would be funny to see the Hall of Fame list. There's a bunch of different asterisks. Like,
Yeah, there'd be a ton.
you get one, you get one, you get one.
Yeah, I just think you put him in. I think he should be in, but either put him in or don't. Like
I would say asterisk in the Hall of Fame when it's like, okay, like it's Barry Bonds, all-time home run leader. Asterisk that there, 756, because no one else has that.
Yeah.
Like Ty Cobb or Pete Rose, like highest batting average. Asterisk there, just to let it know that that's their accomplishment.
fine.
Like
Yeah.
Roger Clemens, asterisk 7-time Cy Young Award winner, like
Right.
stuff like that.
That's fine. Yeah.
Like. Let them know why they're being asterished. Like their accomplishments were very good. Like some of these guys, like Albert Pujols, asterisk 3,000 career hits, like stuff like that.
I wouldn't put anything that's like asterisk.
Negative.
He did this because I won't put anything negative.
Yeah, you gotta make it positive.
Yeah.
the
like,
Hall
'cause-
of Fame, I just feel is like it's. I don't view it as like when I go there, I'm not going to be like this guy did steroids, this guy cheated.
Yeah, 'cause
this
some
guy-
people do like hashtag pound sign like 3,000 hit club member or like the little star like not asterisk but like something else and it's like the little roof thing. It's like first overall draft pick.
That's cool.
Like
Yeah.
like there's only
that's
3
I like that
number 1
stuff.
overall draft picks in the Hall of Fame itself. It's Ken Griffey, Chipper Jones, and
Chipper Jones is fun to watch.
oh yeah,
He was-
not Harold Baines, Harrison Raines. I don't even like. It was an older guy.
So I think we all agree Bonds. What about Pete Rose? Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
You're a no?
I'm saying no.
See,
As a player, yes, but his overall impact on the game for like what he did and like no, like the thing was like you blatantly knew like it's not frowned upon to take steroids like when a lot of guys were doing it, but like I think Pete Rose was literally the only person betting on games in the MLB at that point because literally there was one other guy, an NFL player that literally just got suspended for this recently, like within the last year or so, because he was giving insider sources and betting on his own games. Like,
wow.
So here's a question. If Tom Brady, let's say Tom Brady, he already said he won't do this, so I'm going to just say he doesn't. He retires in the next couple of years, becomes a head coach of the NFL, an NFL team, say the Dolphins or the 49ers. Let's say it doesn't work. He goes back home and coaches his team.
Coaches Jimmy.
Coaches Jimmy. That's a great thing.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And he bets on the games. Does Tom Brady make it into the NFL Hall of Fame?
That's where he's gonna have a lot of controversial opinions. People saying that because he knows he shouldn't be betting on games, but that's the thing.
But
like,
does he
he's
make it
not
in?
following the rules?
He's the greatest player
betting,
ever.
Betting doesn't take away from the fact that he still made his accomplishments.
As a player. I'm
Yeah.
trying to make the point as a player.
Yeah, as a player, it doesn't change
Yeah.
that fact, whether you're betting or not.
He makes it in, but right next to his name is a little asterisk that says no. That
Deflate.
So it's a Tom Brady asterisk, and it
And he
says
still won.
and then it says kisses his son.
Loves his son. I just think like he was one of the greatest baseball players I've ever seen. And
My thing is like how many like Brady is the greatest NFL player. That's what people say. But when it comes to like Pete Rose, like would you say Pete Rose is the greatest baseball player ever?
baseball is a different sport, though.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Like, is he still the greatest? Like,
but there's a lot of people in the Baseball Hall of Fame that are not the greatest players.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Ever,
but it's like,
but-
but he's talking about like that when it comes to either gambling or whatever, like tarnish, kind of like doing something sketchy
Yeah.
to like. So now it becomes a question like literally if Michael Jordan said, "Oh, I bet on games," like at that point people probably let him in the Hall of Fame and stuff like that because he was that good of a player. First of all, like championships too. Like I don't know how many World Series Pete Rose won.
He won 3 World Series. He was an MVP, 17 All-Star,
like
2-time Gold
Yeah.
Glove. He was a World Series MVP, Rookie of the Year, Silver Slugger, 3-time batting title.
That's what I was saying. Like it's no.
I mean, I didn't know his stats off the top of my
Great
head.
gambler.
great
Yeah,
gambler.
I mean, I'll say like I didn't know his stats off the top of my head when it comes to talking this debate, but after seeing all that stuff, I mean, yeah, it makes a strong
on
case.
base percentage, he had a .375, slugging percentage 409.
Looks like your softball stats.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Over 1,000, like 1,300 RBIs.
Not to mention the 4,256 hits.
Oh, what's going on here? We got an email.
You got mail.
He batting average is 303. He batted 303 for his career. I want to see his split. Like how?
Yeah.
But I think you made your point though. The point is like, he still has the stats to make it.
Yeah,
and he was
he
still
still has the
influential
stats,
enough.
yeah.
And I agree. If you're playing, you shouldn't be like betting.
Yeah.
First of all, like that's a conflict of interest thing, and that's
Yeah.
wrong. Like, I get that.
And that's like a big no-no,
But-
especially in the games of like all
yeah.
sports.
I think us
But
as a
it's all-
podcast too are just so pro steroids and gambling. Put them in.
See what happens when we're in quarantine for a long time without sports.
right? But no, like it's also too if you are on a team where the players are okay with you doing that, because like I doubt other players didn't know.
No way.
And that's what I'm saying. Like if you know and you don't report it, like even though you're friends with this guy or whatever, like it's still wrong to be doing that in that league
Yeah.
in any of these sports. So it's also up to the teams too to be kind of self-policing on that and be like, look, don't be doing that.
But
What's our next topic?
yeah, that's our next topic.
Well, we do
You
have
wanna get out of here.
we do have people's topics.
but
down
get
or
there.
like
Give the people what they want.
Yeah.
Utuve, Jose Altuve. Do you
Mhm.
think he's a Hall of Famer?
No.
If you didn't know this, the cheating scandal.
But I didn't know the cheating scandal.
Yeah,
I mean, it's too early to tell in his career right now.
right. He's kind of young, but,
But like, if it was
potential.
also, I mean, if he gets to 3,000 hits, and I didn't know the whole like sign stealing, I would
Yeah.
say yes. But then now, once the thing pops up, how many of those are like actual because of what he knew? Because it's different when you're on steroids or whatever. Like Jose Altuve's stats would directly correlate to okay,
Right.
Yeah.
he knew what pitch was coming. So if he didn't, how he handled it, how would that like look at the road numbers? Like just the road. Like if you give me Altuve splits during those time when he was home and when he was on the road, like
Yeah.
like that's how you kind of go in about it. And that's what I would say. Altuve wouldn't be a Hall of Famer.
now with that I would agree because in his playing career it directly affected his playing career. Pete Rose did not affect his playing career. But I see what you're saying, like how it attaches to the game itself. Then I can
Yeah.
see your point. But I look at it as, is he first going in as a player or a coach? Because if he's going in as a coach, then yeah.
I mean, would you put? Because the thing is too, it's like for under the Hall of Fame plaques, it says player for the Cincinnati Reds this year to this year, but then they say coach whatever team underneath. Do you just not put him as a coach? And you
Maybe
say
leave
player?
out coach.
I wouldn't put it in because I don't think it really affects. I wouldn't put.
But
I'm
I'm
not
not saying that's like
I'm not putting him in for his playing abilities. I just looked this up because I thought it was interesting. Lifetime average for Pete Rose, he hit 297 from the right side, 304 from the left. So he's better on the left side, and he hit 303 in general.
not a bad career.
No, he said it was funny. He once said he's like, "How crazy is it? Baseball is the only career that you can fail 7 times out of 10 and be a Hall of Famer."
Yeah.
Well, in most cases, Pete Rose is not a Hall of Famer, but you can
Yeah.
fail 7 out of 10 times and you're still.
Well, I love how he's sounding baseball, saying 4,200 hits, 0 steroids.
0 steroids.
That's funny.
How many bets though?
How many?
How many bets?
Yeah, that he placed. That was like the joke. Like
Oh,
Yeah.
Like-
how many bets? I was like, how
I
many?
know.
Yeah, that went over
That went
our
over
heads.
all our
Everyone's
heads.
head.
It's early,
Man.
huh?
Yeah, it's
It's
1:35 p.m.
That's
Late
early
nights?
for quarantine, man.
jeez, I've been up since like 7.
So we got. Are you a yes for Pete Rose or no? You're.
Oh, we love gambling.
You
Hell
love
yeah.
gambling. We're big
Hell yeah.
gamblers on this podcast too. We're big steroids and gamblers over here. So we got 3 yeses for Pete Rose and 1 no from Mr. Dave Griffin.
I think I'm gonna start changing my opinion though. To be honest, they have to leave the coach aspect out of it though.
I agree.
Right, I would
if
agree
you
with
leave that
that.
and just solely as a player, I would say yes.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. And like
I
make it note that like I said with that plaque, like make it know, like he's in here because of
His
as a
plan.
player and
I
leave
wouldn't
out the
add
coach.
an asterisk saying.
And
we
ma-
noticed you didn't say
No, I
coach
agree.
here.
I agree.
But no, that'll be a nice little inside information, like one of those trivia questions. Oh, like Pete Rose was a Hall of Famer, or what team did he manage? And people are like, wait, he's a manager? Like
Right.
That's a good Thursday night at a bar trivia
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
right there.
It's a
oh,
stump
Charlie Horse
trivia.
for Steve-O.
Stump trivia.
Charlie Horse is dead now.
Oh, is it?
They have
All right,
one
yeah,
Charlie
Ben-
Horse open,
No, it's
but
in It's in
Oh, I
there's
thought we were talking about the
there's
Western
a
Shore one.
Kingston one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Shout out to Charlie Horse.
Honestly.
Sponsor us next podcast.
Thanks for catering.
Yeah, maybe. If you want to sponsor us, let us know.
Real quick, before we move on, it's something I've been looking at all podcasts. Did you wear a Curry College
I did. I
T-shirt
wore it.
just for?
I wore it.
My guy.
I wore it for
My
Dave.
guy.
This is
wore
not
it.
from Dave, but this is from one of our mutual friends. Shout out Matt Fogarty. Curry baseball for Dave. I wear a shirt for the
I
guest.
know it's just funny to me that you're like.
I wore it for him.
Oh, yeah.
No, I understand.
when
believe
Jake,
me.
when
I
Fishman
understand
came on,
why.
I wore a rock shirt.
Yep.
when I don't think
I
That's,
like
that's
it.
a good host right
Yeah,
there.
you dress for the theme.
I-
No, I'm not talking down on
we
you.
were talking about Canada earlier. You're wearing a Blue Jays hat. They can't see, but you're wearing
Yeah.
a Blue Jays hat.
Baby blue.
Yeah. I don't know.
What's
I just
your
thought it
new
was
nickname?
topical.
Baby Blue. Topical? Yeah.
like that.
Curry College baseball.
Colonel Red.
Shout out. Yeah. I like this.
Is that what his name is? Colonel Red?
No, it's I don't even know it's the Colonels, but I don't even know the name of the mascot.
He looks like the KFC Colonel.
No, that's what people say.
Is that what the real mascot looks like? He looks like the KFC.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, no.
On that note, let's try to transition into this. It's one of our favorite topics, the people's topic.
The people's topic.
So, people's topic. Remember, we take questions in on our Instagram or Twitter. Without further ado, let's turn it over to John, and he's going to read all our people's topics.
Come on, baby blue.
All right.
Baby Blue, I like that new nickname for you.
I can't see I'm wearing a blue hat. We have two people's topics this week. The first one comes from @Zach_Shade, friend of the pod. Shout out Zach.
Zach.
What's his name on
Zach
here?
was on Danny
Danny Football. Shout out Danny
He
Football.
he was an intern. Zach, you know Zach.
If I saw the face, I mean, I'm terrible with names,
He
but I
was
know
with,
faces.
he was
Looks like Andy
redhead-
Dalton.
Redhead.
Oh yeah.
Looks like it.
He asked,
Is it sad that that's how I got that?
worst commissioner in sports, Manfred or Goodell?
Ooh.
I tweeted something out and didn't get nearly the response I wanted on Twitter. So if you could go like it and retweet it,
Plug your
please,
Twitter.
If you listen,
Whatever it is.
whatever
It doesn't
is.
matter.
Whatever it is, doesn't matter. I blew it. I think it's at Big Red _BIS. I think that's what it is. I don't know. Look it up. We're in the comments of our Big Red Zone.
I like Jake Murata's nickname for Steve-O. Shout out off camera.
Yeah, that's definitely an off-camera nickname. So, who's worse? Well,
Manfred or
Manfred or
Goodell.
I think right now, I think it's Manfred. I'm big on Manfred. Just because the game is dying and he's not the guy to fix it, I think it's Manfred.
Even though Goodell's been more of a pain in the ass for a longer time, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that because he's had a bigger impact with baseball currently and just not doing a good job. So I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. Even though Roger Goodell, you still suck, but
But I mean, I'll probably say the same thing. I mean, NFL is a very popular sport to
Right.
begin with, and like the players are willing to play and everything like that, and like the owners, like football will still be played no matter what. Like people are gonna watch the stuff and like that. Where baseball's not as popular in like the fan base when it comes to football, and at this point, everything's being handled so poorly now. I mean, I feel like it's literally like MLB is saying one thing and then doing the complete other. It's like
Right.
just one of those in a relationship. Yeah, I want to be with you. Oh, I'm also doing this. But like,
Yeah.
that's literally it's like do as I say, not as I do. In other words, but I would go with Manfred at this point.
Say what you want about Goodell, like how he handles situations. He's not the best at handling.
I think him and Donald Trump have the same toupee, bud.
he he handles situations so bad, but as the game itself, it doesn't affect the game. Like,
Yeah.
I think the game, how Manfred handles things, is just killing the game. Like he changes rules, he's messing up.
The
people that-
3 battle rule, like I hated that. It's like literally some people are specifically lefty specialists, so
Right.
they're there to get the one guy out as a left-handed batter or like lefty and lefty matchup and stuff like
Right.
that. So it ultimately kills so many different things.
Right. And that stuff is like taking, and again, like we said, for other reasons, we don't want to get back into it, but he's not a baseball guy. He's a business numbers guy. So I think they need a new commissioner.
Yeah, but the only question is who would step up and who would they replace it with? You have to like wipe clean slate.
Shout out to Jack Moran, David Ortiz, Big Poppy, the commissioner of
That'd be
our
fire.
league.
This is
Papi.
my effing league.
Ain't nobody gonna dictate our freedom.
I love Big Poppy. All right, second question comes from, I don't know, this is going to be a weird one. @SammySwoosh7. He says, I can't remember if you'd done it, but me and Cody did our NBA awards winners. I don't know what that means.
Oh, like who would have won the?
Oh, who would you think won the awards and stuff like
So
that?
far.
Oh,
that's a
okay.
long. Oh,
I guess no discussion.
I'm glad you guys knew what that meant, because I didn't know what that meant.
It's okay, baby.
I've
We'll
had,
still
I've had no preparation for this.
Off top.
But what are we doing? MVP, Rookie of the Year?
You just keep it simple.
Defensive
MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive and Most Improved.
Okay. Coach of the year. Throw one of those in there too.
Brad Stevens always.
Yeah, I'm going. I think we all agree. Brad Stevens.
Doc.
You're a big Doc Rivers guy.
I like him.
MVP. I think you got to go.
Kyrie Irving.
Stop it.
He said stop
That
it.
bum. I'm gonna go LeBron. I think he deserves it. I think his team is very good, but I think we saw the impact he took on the team last year when he left. They were a playoff team with him, and then they just completely fell off the rails when he got injured. I think he deserves it. I think it's him. Yeah, I'll go with him.
I give it to Giannis personally.
Giannis, I can see Giannis too.
Like, not like his most valuable player to your team. But like, if LeBron goes down, AD's right there. AD is still almost MVP type level. Where if you take Giannis away from the Bucks, that team ain't going nearly as good. And like Chris Middleton, like I'll say, like he's an all-star. Like, he's proved himself, but he's not as a caliber 1-2 punch when it came to LeBron AD.
Right. I can see that. I think AD is not as. I think he's a very good player. I think he's a top player. But right now, from what I've seen, he's not where he was a couple years ago. That's just my opinion.
Part of that's injury too.
And we've proven if AD's the guy for that team, they don't make playoffs. So that's what I'm saying. Like LeBron, you take LeBron off the team. I think at most they're.
Well, the Lakers are built around LeBron for a reason.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like if you were what my point is, if you took a LeBron off that team right now, say you got injured back in the beginning, like mid-season, I think if they had a full season, they'd be an 8 seed at best, 7 seed maybe at best.
So try to pull up what the Lakers record is without LeBron this year.
See if we can come up. James, you can go when we're.
I'm gonna agree with you, Steve.
LeBron.
Yeah.
John.
Baby Blue.
I don't really watch basketball. LeBron. I like LeBron. I hate Michael Jordan, so I'm always LeBron over. Yeah.
John.
Yeah. I don't
Wow.
That's a
want
bit of a hot take out
I
of
hate
nowhere.
Michael
Yes,
Jordan.
that was like a
No,
ricochet
were you-
bounce.
were you
That was a
here for
ricochet
the-
bounce.
Well, mostly because I think the reason I said that is because
Was I here?
That's not in the story.
Was I here, John? I live
everyone-
He
here.
has a thing against LeBron, Michael Jordan, because of one of his famous.
I'll fill you in. So, are you familiar with platinum recording artist Chameleonaire?
Just play the video.
I know. I just play the clip.
By the way, TikTok hated John for that story.
Yeah. To fill you in. Long story short,
So you just like stir up a ton of controversy here?
a little bit. So there's a story about. This is the second time that we're bringing
He has
this
time
up.
to practice this. Remember, you got some criticism
I
from the
know.
nice people on Twitter.
This is the second time it's been brought up. Long story short,
It's not a long.
that's
it's not a short
long.
story.
Try to summarize it.
That's what I'm saying. So, Michael Jordan was in some club. Chameleonaire was a big fan. It's back when Riding Dirty came out. Platinum recording artist, sold millions in ringtones, as we all know.
Dirty.
Chameleonaire went to ask him for a picture, and Michael Jordan just like insulted him. Was like, I don't take a picture with no da 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 da. So then, because he was so disrespectful to my favorite 2006 rapper, Chameleonaire, I hate him. But yeah, and then we put like the story on TikTok, and people were just like, "Man, this idiot doesn't know how to tell a story."
Yeah. So to answer your question, they played 60 games with LeBron. They were 47-13. Without LeBron, they were 2-1.
What about last year? I know they don't have the same team put together, but
Yeah, that would be different because, like you said, they do have AD. But
yeah. I mean, 2-1. That's still a winning record. I mean, that's the thing. It's like
yeah, I mean that's not a big enough sample size though.
yeah.
2019.
Was the NBA Hall of Fame class announced this year?
Yeah.
Super unrelated, was
It
it?
was
It's
really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and
Oh
Kobe
right,
Bryant. And then
yeah,
there's
and
the-
Kobe at
yeah.
top, yeah.
And then I forget who. I mean, there was a bunch of other like writers. The women's Bentley basketball coach was inducted in the Hall of Fame as
That's
well.
cool.
Yeah, D2 baby.
While we were talking about Hall of Fames, you know how
It says they were 9-18 without LeBron. I can't find with LeBron last year.
Just a Lakers record with LeBron.
That's true.
Shout out to that master's education, baby.
Yeah, I haven't got it yet.
right, that's why
They were
once you
20
get it.
They're 28-27.
I mean, all
I
right.
don't know. Whatever.
Next
Sorry,
subject.
Side point. Yeah, it's the side point.
Rookie of the year.
I'm going Morant. Like Ja Morant.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know basketball.
He
that
doesn't
well.
know
I would
basketball.
say Ja at this point.
Yeah, I think he just played more.
I mean, you can't give it to Zion because Zion.
Yeah.
I mean,
He played like 10 games, so
Yeah.
I can't give it to him. I would give it to Ja Morant. James?
Rookie of the
Oh,
year.
don't look at me. I don't watch basketball.
What's that RJ
that
Hunter?
much.
What's he doing nowadays?
RJ Hunter. Who knows?
I love
Flipping
RJ Hunter.
burgers.
Oh my god.
He's doing my taxes next week.
I liked him.
I liked him too. I thought he was going to be really good. What's it? Defensive player of the year?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Definitely not Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. Not
He
yet.
did a poor job
He's
spreading
the
that virus.
worst defensive player.
Marcus Smart locked in.
Marcus Smart. I would love to see
Him or Kawhi probably.
I'd probably go Marcus Smart. I think he deserves the recognition. If anything, first
Or
all,
maybe Giannis.
first all defense.
Yeah, Giannis was good. I don't watch a lot of basketball, but I know enough to.
Giannis was very good
Giannis.
defensively, but then again, Marcus Smart was also. The thing with Giannis is like Giannis is very like tall and lanky, and he can. So his length when he's like can't speed up with the younger guys, he can just use his length, kind of like Taco Fall like to just block the ball. But then when like Marcus Smart though, like he has the size of a point guard, shooting guard, but
Yeah.
he's going up against like much bigger guys than him and just bullying him,
Right.
which I love.
Most improved or comeback player? Or whatever
Lonzo
they call
Ball,
it.
baby.
Lonzo.
Lonzo had a
BBB.
good- Lonzo
He had more
a-
threes than Devin Booker this year
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's pretty.
by like 20.
That's pretty.
He
crazy.
shot a better percentage than like some of the top like
That's
guys.
nuts. I'd go in the same team. I'd go Brandon Ingram. I think Brandon Ingram had a way better
Yeah.
year. People were saying like he was a bust, which I've been high on him since he got drafted. People were saying he was a bust, and like when they
Yeah.
traded him away, I think it was the best thing the Pelicans could have done.
I'm a big Pelicans fan anyways.
Yeah, they just built their franchise up for the next like 10 years. They have such a young core that
Oh
they
yeah.
can build around.
They're going to have a big three with Zion, Lonzo, and
But I like the Lonzo pick. Lonzo is, I think, underrated too. I think everyone gave up on him way too fast.
I mean that's because of his dad setting the standard.
Right.
I'm very excited to see where LaMelo Ball ends up. I think he's going to be a very
I
talented
think he's
player.
going to be better. I think he's going to be even better than Lonzo.
Is he going
It
into the
de-
league next year?
Yeah.
getting drafted.
Really?
He's
It
gonna be a
depends.
top
It depends.
pick.
It depends on his work ethic. Though, like not LeBron. Lonzo right away was like, I need to work my defense. And like the moment he came into that league, he really worked on his defense, and he was like pessimist about it, and it was great. Like if LaMelo had that edge, I'd say LaMelo has potential to be like top 10 in the league. Because I mean, he has Ben Simmons' size, much better shooter, has better handles.
Right. And he's been playing against professional guys
Or
for
older guys.
Older guys for years.
Yeah.
So I think that gives him the edge. So that's who I like that pick. But I go Brandon Ingram. James,
I'll be honest with you. I would have no clue.
no clue. Okay, John, no
So-
clue.
Baby Blue,
Oh,
pass.
Lonzo. I like Lonzo.
Lonzo.
Hey,
You like Lonzo
BBB.
Yeah, BBB, big baller brand. I haven't heard that in like years. Like
yeah.
I remember
Well,
that
they
was
They
such a
just signed
hot
with
topic.
Jay-Z, right?
Rock Nation, all three of them did, yeah. But then
Wait, for what?
Wait.
as an agent,
Agent. They
Oh,
got rid of
like-
their dad, and now
Oh,
they're-
because there's like a sports division, right?
yeah.
Oh, I thought they were gonna like start being rappers or something.
that's
I didn't
what
know
I
that.
was
Lonzo
confused.
is a rapper though. Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Is
he's got some songs.
good. Is he bad? There's no
next,
way.
next
he's good.
topic.
Yeah.
Coach of the year,
Brad.
Brad.
Doc.
3-1 on that
I
one.
like Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers will never not be my coach of the year. He's my coach.
He's your coach. All right. Well, thank you, Sammy Swoosh. That's our answers. If there's another position you want us to say, then tell us, because I think that another award, I think that's
Sixth man of the year.
I think we covered
Sixth
it.
Man of the Year. That's
Lou Williams.
Yeah, Lou Williams wins every year. I think that's a
Him or Jamal Crawford, one of the two.
yeah. I think it's Lou Williams' Sixth Man of the Year time.
Yeah.
But I think that wraps up this episode of the Big Red Zone. I want to thank Dave for coming on. Thanks for being our first in-house guest with the new studio.
Thanks for giving me the honor, boys. Much appreciated.
And as always, thank you, James and John, for coming by.
Do you have any plugs you want to get off? Social medias,
actually,
whatever?
yeah. Before we get out of here, any plugs?
Like what? Just like outtakes?
Yeah, no, just
No.
like your social medias. You want people to follow if you care about any of that, whatever. It's up to you.
I trust Steve to promote me well.
Perfect. We'll tag you and all that stuff.
And also, good job, John. Follow us on Instagram at Big Red Zone.
What?
And Twitter, you reminded me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you were
Baby Blue, always there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Twitter at Big Red Zone and then Instagram at Big Red Zone. You can follow, subscribe to us on YouTube. There it is.
What about LinkedIn?
No LinkedIn.
Not on
yet.
LinkedIn
We
yet.
need to get on LinkedIn.
Do we?
That's a social media platform, Gary V.
Oh man, I love Gary.
Yeah.
Man, we could go for another hour. I love Gary V so much. Not so much now. Ever since like quarantine, he's been like kind of like not so hot. Like just like doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean,
But
at
like,
that point.
but before quarantine, man,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was popping. Oh, I love him so much.
Hey, honestly, next time what we should do is try to do like a 12 straight hour podcast.
Yeah,
Just
we'll
like,
just do a
just
live
like a
stream.
fundraiser, like a Jimmy Fun fundraiser at this point. Just like
Just
we just
live
hop on. Oh,
Live it.
Have some people call in. Have Have Zach and Jack both call in and
Oh.
stuff. Have a whole telethon.
Yeah, like Jimmy
Telethon?
Fun stuff like that.
How would we
Yeah.
handle that?
I don't know. We have
The
we have a-
logistics
We have a
alone.
bunch of events lined up right now. We need to focus.
Yeah.
Babyface
Oh,
challenge.
you forgot to mention golf.
Babyface
Ooh.
challenge. Oh, that we'll close with this.
Yeah.
We're having a babyface challenge.
Yeah.
We announced last week. We're still working on getting that date. We're trying for this week, maybe early next week.
Wait, what is this babyface challenge? First
So-
of all,
Yeah.
Over quarantine, most people, especially us, have let the facial hair go. We've
Kinda
grown it
trimmed
out a little bit. You trimmed yours. Didn't know about the challenge, but still, he's had his facial hair since probably senior year of high school. James hasn't had a clean shave since probably sophomore
Sophomore?
year of high school,
Yeah.
and I've been like this for like the last 3 years. So what we decided to do was have a challenge where losers have to shave their face.
Loser, not loser.
Losers.
God.
Both two.
That's not what we originally agreed.
Yes, that's what we said, right?
No, we said
I don't
loser.
think so.
there's
but don't
one
change
winner,
the
multiple
rule.
losers.
What?
So first of all, if you're not a winner, you're a loser. So
Right.
might as well.
If you don't win, you have to shave.
Like, why do you
Well, then
want like?
both of y'all are shaven, so that's fine then.
That's fine.
That's okay. I'm getting sick of this beard.
Yeah. I'm just the only thing that's keeping me to win is I'm very competitive and I want to win. I could care less about shaving my face. I kind of am interested.
Steve goes from looking 44 to 35.
Yeah. I'm not.
You
Didn't, didn't someone ask you at 35 or something like that one time?
One of the kids when I taught thought I was like 35 years old. I said, "Get out."
Get out.
So we're gonna golf because we said we were talking about the Tom Brady golf thing and we were joking about that. I said I was better than Tom Brady at golfing because he was terrible.
You just
but-
knock on my headphones.
What?
You got
I-
to get quiet.
Did I not?
I don't know.
Probably. You slamming the
You
table
good.
the past hour and a
Technical
half.
We can.
Yeah, leave it a big red.
So basically, we're just gonna play around at golf 9 holes, and whoever wins is the winner. We're going with our pro golf instructor.
Shout out Ame.
Yeah,
I've never golfed before. You've golfed a couple
he's
times.
golfed like 4 times. I've golfed twice.
I was that nerd that went to golf summer camp.
Went to golf summer
He went
When I
to
was
camp.
golf
younger.
camp.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys want to learn how to hit a golf ball, there's a place in Hingham called the Range Bar and Grill. You can drink and hit golf balls at the same time.
What?
You can work on that.
Why don't we just do that instead?
That's been my go-to place to get
Go
lunch and
today.
get drinks.
Let's go right now.
We go
Honestly,
today and
honestly,
tomorrow.
yeah, I'm like,
Let's wrap
fire.
this pod right now. And let's
That
get-
sounds dope. Like you can it's like open now.
yeah, it's
during
open now.
COVID.
I mean, I've been there 3 times in the last week.
Wow.
He's gone more than us, and we're actually
That's
having
alright,
challenge.
yeah.
We need to get.
That
to
actually
the
sounds
range.
so
Well,
fire.
I've been playing golf and kind of gambling money. He's shouting, so at that point, I gotta do good.
You're playing golf now.
Just like with friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like PGA. Hell no.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's our plan. We're still working on that. We'll more information on our socials coming up the next couple weeks. But thanks for joining us, everyone, and have a good week.